Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck, sort of. Anyway, there I am. Part of the video now. So yeah, just the one video this week, and kind of a it's like hash. It's not really soup. Yeah, I called it word soup or something, but it's, good word soup. I mean, the whole idea is to make some sort of crap, the mental statements converted into sentences and images and actions and dramatizations that in some way or other convey to people an understanding of why they need to be a little more empathetic and understand the cost and the price paid, and do a little bit of introspection and just see how you're really just kind of Hannibal Lecter. If you're smart, and if you're stupid, you're I don't know, a psycho killer. You're just an exploitionist shithead. You're just trying to connive and scheme your way into getting what you want, and you're not very conscious of what it might cost somebody else. I mean, you'll interact and take and rub up against things and not worry about whether you're going to harm them, and all of that, because you're stupid. So obviously I can't call people stupid. The soup can't have little stupid croutons in it, or it's not going to be very persuasive. People aren't going to eat it because it doesn't look good. That kind of crap. My arm aches. Heart attack or something. Anyway, I'm having a miserable day. Anyway, a miserable start to the day. We can't say what the whole day is yet. So yeah, so that's the video is just sort of me attempting to describe what I intend to accomplish eventually, in terms of making the perfect video or movie or thing, the statement. Maybe it has to be 5 hours. Maybe it can, 5 parts. Maybe it's a Lord of the Rings kind of story, and maybe it'll take whatever that was, 7.5 hours or something. But I'm hoping not. But it's just so hard to do because you gotta really. It's like you don't have a test audience. You don't have any way of getting the feedback necessary to see how much has to be said. You don't need to overstate some things and go into a bunch of minutia about certain things that's totally unnecessary, because the point is already gotten across, is effectively conveyed, in just the right proportions, blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't have any of those tools. So it's a lot of work, really, and probably isn't going to be done by a person. It's going to take more than one, and all of that kind of crap, and it's going to take time and all that crap, and that's all disappointing. But yeah, so if you're waiting for one of these videos to, woo, that's the video, that's the one, all done now. Yeah, probably not going to happen. But who knows? I might have a incredibly inspired moment and do something absolutely brilliant. It's possible, but yeah, don't count on it. Yeah, so realistically, and people, the whole point of the conversation is to get people to be more realistic about what creating humans entails, and just how not great most humans function, and how on net balance it's not a good thing. It's a mess. It's not a a wonderful, beautiful accomplishment. The person isn't running a profit, kind of thing. It's not making money. But however you want to metaphor it. Alright, so I guess we'll just go through some of this mush and blah 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 blah. And the argument is that the big picture is also the same kind of situation. It's a place that needs to... Yeah, so we can devote ourselves to our little jobs, you know, and we can sort of understand these little gratifications we get from doing the things that we enjoy, or the things we're obsessed with, or the little bits of control that we have. And it's this much bigger project of controlling the big game, you know, the real game. And yeah, the rules are different. You know, that's why we do the simple things, is because they're simple, and they're, you know, we can grab them and, you know, manipulate them and blah blah blah, and it's a much easier game to play. The video game, simpler rules, all that kind of stuff. The big game, you know, of influencing the destiny of the human race, yeah, that's a bigger game, and it's much more complicated and built out of all these different meme engines and all these nationalities and all these groups of people with agendas and lots of things to control. So it's a much more complex plan that you have. So you sort of have to think yourself as an ant in a colony, and you got to try to control your little colony, and then get your colony in a whole world of different termites and all kinds of other bugs, and you have to figure out where to place everything so the other bugs can't get to you, but you can get to them, and all this, you know. So it's a much more complicated game than just cleaning your house, you know, as Jordan Peterson would say. yeah, no. Cleaning your house is just, it's a waste of your brain, okay? Be more ambitious. Don't be lost, you know, vacuuming. It's not gonna do. It's not gonna come to save the day. Mr. Vacuum Cleaner isn't gonna come save the day. The hero is gonna look different than that. But it really turns out, you know, it's a fair word, because they're not made to do anything but crush, kill, and destroy. Yeah, so we're monsters, right? And so you can't say that to people, though. You can't just say, oh, all living things are just monsters. They're just monstrosities built by a DNA molecule, and there's tools they have, you know, and some have, you know, they can shoot acid out of their ass, and, you know, others have claws and teeth and, you know, x-ray vision. Well, I guess they don't have too many x-ray vision things. But they have all kinds of weapons. And our weapon was the brain, okay? Being able to acquire knowledge of the environment, and to be able to make traps, and to avoid falling in traps, and to, you know, drive other animals off a cliff, you know, manipulate the environment, because we could understand and communicate, do these different things that the intelligence gave us. And it was just a tool for just making us more dangerous. And the fact is that it has this great side effect that we can actually use our intelligence to understand the world we exist in, and to apply it against the forces of nature, against the very mechanisms of our creation. We can fight back against the ignoramus that created us, and we can veto the monster's wrong, bad, stupid decisions, and all of that. And that's the great thing about having intelligence, is that we can actually do some rescuing with it. We can save ourselves and save an awful lot of feeling creatures, an awful lot of wasted suffering. And it's just, we just have to apply our intelligence, and getting people to understand that that's what we should be doing with our brain, is being devoted to eliminating suffering. It's a perfectly sensible application of a useful function. There's just really no other rational way to see it. That's, if you want to use your brain the best way, you don't play basketball with it, you play fix the world with it. Duh. Yeah. Yeah, that needs no more explanation. Okay, eyeball man. Very attainable. It's realistic as a goal. Right, but, you know, so real point is, you know, I've often talked about staircases and the idea that intelligence. Yeah, so really, it is just this idea. It's all incremental, though. You really can't get to the 400th stair on the staircase without really touching some of the other stairs. Now, you can jump up and you can run up the stairs, and so you don't need to have every detail sometimes to end up there. But you're not going to be born smart. So it's going to be a process where you have to acquire all this knowledge, and part of the knowledge you have to acquire is this understanding that you have to have knowledge, you have to have information, you have to study and research and, you know, compile information and do all of this crap, okay, to be able to do this acquisition of understanding. That it doesn't just don't hit the button that says be smart. There, I'm smart, I did it, I hit the be smart button. It's not going to work that way. And being able to intelligently argue something or intelligently persuade other people and all this stuff, you're going to have tools to do that. And all of that is, you know, there's a high acquisition demand. You know, you have to practice to play the piano. You know, duh. So you have to do some, you know, it's a lot of time consuming, tedious sometimes effort to be able to construct the guidebook to staircasing. You know, how to be smart. You know, writing that book requires you to be smart. And such. It's probably better than the being half killed thing, you know, being completely killed. Yeah, so this was something to do with the devotion idea. And then once you understand all this stuff, once you understand that the harm in the world is just as real as the harm you're capable of feeling and you're vulnerable to, and once you see that it happens to all these other animals and that this whole thing is just a terrible meat grinder, it's really easy to get the idea that, yes, jumping on a grenade would be a, you know, thank you for giving me that opportunity. So it's that kind of war, you know, where, yeah, it's, you know, yeah, it's almost the preferable is the full devotion, because, yeah, fighting the regular war is just, you know, eking out a life in a world full of servitude and you know, the whole chasing some sort of American dream, or, you know, whatever, some vague notion of a happiness, you know, yuck. You're doomed to failure. All right, so, you know, this, you know, side subject just popped into my head. Snake Plisskenus, whatever, Lord and Savior crap that he's doing now. You know, his delusion of his whatever, the it's kind of like an OCD disorder or something. You know, this thinking he's God and whatever. I mean, you know, it's kind of a superstition thing, I guess. You know, it's lots of, you can be compared to lots of little minor psychoses that people get caught up in. I myself have gone through a few of those kind of phases. You know, I had a period where I just felt jinxed, and so I had these stupid rules where, you know, my brain would say, if you don't put that battery down in 3 seconds, you know, something horrible is going to happen to me. So I'd have to put the battery down because my brain made some sort of silly, superstitious statement, you know, some silly prediction. And, you know, to some extent, I was being controlled by that. But luckily, it never got any worse, and it just, you know, kind of drifted away as a syndrome. But anyway, so whatever. He's got some issues, you know. And now he's homeless again, and there's not much you can do, right? I mean, how do you extract him from the war? And you really can't, you know. So I mean, you could buy him a house, but if he doesn't have a plan, okay, the house will fall down, kind of thing. It's just this. It's not so much of even, you know, just having the superficial business suit and go out into the world and then you're going to run a business. It's just not that simple. And like in a sense, he doesn't have whatever the infrastructure it is he needs to be able to sustain uh, his functionality. and it's horrible to watch. I mean, it's painful. And it's just so obvious that this just doesn't work. I mean, come on. It gets so futile and so dysfunctional. And, the sort of tragic part was, I mean, he was attending to, extract himself from his pain and suffering, and he couldn't do it. This is not easy to die. Even when you see that you don't have any choices, it's still not easy to do. It's cold water to jump into. It's just hard to do. Especially for the first time. The first time's always a little tricky. Anyway, just so dismal. I'd like to be able to help, but what the fuck? There's no help. There's no fixing these problems with a world that just doesn't care. It doesn't have the infrastructure to care. It just lets all this waste happen, and people defending that and justifying it are just so cruel. Ugh. Yuck. All right. Aesthetics, and well, I'll pause. Okay, so I think that I was going to end up getting into. I mean, it's so crass. I mean, you don't want to say something like, "Oh, it's about the orgasm," But for most men, that's it's just this desire thing. It's an impulse thing. It's like, yeah, I'm really in the mood, and you're just kind of driven, and then you're completely undriven. It's just such a what compels people. They're in love, for 45 minutes, and then they're not in love anymore. It's so maliciously cruel. And I was just thinking about it from my own perspective, like if all the women I was in love with, and I never worked out. I mean, it never even, it's like it wasn't even close. I just you loved people who you knew you're never going to get, you're never going to have, you're never going to be with, all that kind of crap. And how, especially in my youth, I just spent all this time pining. And then I'm on reflection, I'm thinking about, well, what would have happened if I had gotten them? Then I really would have been pussy whipped, so to speak. I would have been, just all of how all that could go so wrong, because it's not going to be just some romantic desert island thing. You're not going to be able to take it and preserve it and protect it from the reality of sustaining a life and maintenance and jobs and all the other crap that goes with crappy life. And it's all going to get tarnished and destroyed by all of the infrastructure you have to build to maintain it, to keep it safe. And shit, that sucks. and so part of me is just saying, as much as I was miserable, I was probably better off, because I was probably the type who would be very hurt, very hurtable, fragile as an emotional beast. And if I would have, gotten and lost somebody, that would have been even worse, in terms of my emotional welfare, blah, blah, blah. So, whatever. It sucks. It's no, like I said, Shakespeare was right to kill Romeo and Juliet because there was nowhere for it to go. It was not going to go anywhere good. There was going to be noisy little brats and all kinds of bullshit, and it was just no. It wasn't going anywhere good. And so until the next time, until the next planet gets blown up. I don't know. It's something about it like a Star Wars reference where it just popped into my head, just how a whole planet was blown up by the Death Star, and everybody got over it in a few, it didn't take very long for everybody to get over it. It wasn't like, oh, Jesus, this great tragedy took place, you get a little sadness in the Force. Oh, the Force has a little wobble in it. Yeah, let's get back to our business. Yeah. Just, yeah, it's all such bullshit. I mean, it is realistically, that's humankind. I mean, they get over it so easily. There's a huge bias built in. It's hard for people to do that. It's hard for them to see it that way or to feel it that way. And because they can't feel it that way, they pretend they can't think it that way. Yeah, it's like conflict. You can just know better, you can all that kind of stuff, but it's hard to sometimes be able to feel what you can understand. So, you can understand that somebody else's kids are just as important as your kids, blah, 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 blah. You can understand the principles involved, but you can't make it happen because you have all of this cheaty devotion. And I guess the same thing happens when people are married and committed to a relationship and then they cheat on their wives or something or whatever. And that somehow the impulse, in spite of what they know to be the truth, they can't feel it. And they get compelled by some other feeling. Evaded that and then dropped dead in their sleep. Yeah, there might be. Alright, so yeah, just sort of talking about the odds and the fact that, people contemplating having kids can't be doing any serious thinking, because you do any serious thinking at all, there's all these risks and all these horrors that you can't buy insurance for, you can't buy any protection from, you can't dig a deep enough moat around the castle to stop the plague. I mean, it's just a fact. You can't stop all these unknowns, all these variables that you can't control. And how could anybody be comfortable with that? I'm going to make something and I'm going to be responsible for it and I'm going to allow there to be a bunch of daggers hanging over it? No, I'm not going to do that. It's not something I'm cruel enough to do. So, that argument shouldn't be that hard to make. That it's just cruel for people to sit there and put things in jeopardy for their own entertainment, and that's all it is. They're entertaining some little impulse. I want to see what I would look like if it was only half me. Yeah. I want to see a painting of me that's only half me. I don't really want to do that, personally. Yeah, I don't really want to do that. Or what sentences, how to phrase it, how to state it, what kind of image should be on it, how I should construct this thing. And that sort of compares to art, Yeah, so, yeah, it's probably about talking about the fact that, yes, it's way too complicated making human beings, way too many subtleties, way too complicated, way too dangerous. Just no justification for presuming yourself competent to guide and control what's going to happen, because you don't have the control and you don't have the guidance. You don't have enough intelligence to be able to anticipate what all the little bangs and all the vibrations it needs, to the helpful ones versus the unhelpful ones. You can't tell the difference. The ones that are going to help it regain its balance and the ones that are going to cause it to go imbalanced look the same, and you're not going to be able to know what's going to build character and what's going to ruin its character. Why play that game? It's insidiously cruel. Weighted. There's no job for it to do in the universe. It doesn't have a function. Mars would not be better off with feeling. Yes, so that's the big one, right? It's just the whole fact that the universe doesn't even need our intelligence. It really doesn't, if we're not the problem. So without the problem of us being here, there's nothing for intelligence to fix. There's no problem that needs addressing. There's nothing to be perfected. There's nothing to be improved. There's nothing in need of anything. And that's the key word, is the need, because you've extracted the need, because only the sentient, motivated monsters have any needs, and they are in fact just monsters, so don't make them. They're just bugs. It's a bug planet. Again, you can't say that. You're not going to be able to just say that to people. You're a bug, glorified, but still bug. Okay, you really aren't anything. You haven't substantially evolved from that framework. And it's, just childish rubbish that you think you're doing something other than just bug behavior. You just have your little habits, you're a certain kind of bug, and you do little buggy things, and that's it. It's nothing, yeah, it's like I said, you're doing it with the pretense of being smart and clever, but it's trivial cleverness. And it's for a purpose that's just to satisfy an innate programming that says chase, chase, do, get. It's buggy. Yuck. Alright, I think that's almost the end. Let's see if there's anything left. Ooh, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. We'll go right there, maybe. Probably just randomly go in here somewhere and see what's there. Fake edges, so evil can never be really evil. In that they'll never make a monster. Okay, so just kind of pointing out that the monsters in monster movies they always give them some sort of vulnerability or humanness or decency or some sort of something to make them tolerable, because the absolutely evil they just can't seem to create. And nature's that absolute evil in the sense it's just absolute and complete stupidity. The worst monster is the thing completely stupid, completely ignorant of how the game works, and it's just pulling any random lever and seeing what happens. When there's all these glass jars of harm that are at stake, and but anyway, something like that. So we'll call that a video, and try to do better next time and all that kind of crap, but they're all videos, they're all part of the story, blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't, but yes, I do have to get to the serious work of framing the building correctly, and then putting siding on it, and then putting a roof on it, and doing it all in the right order and all that crap. And yeah, I want somebody else to do it. But anyway, I'll work on it. It's all a work in progress. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Working on it. Yeah. I technically am working on it. I mean, it's technically true. Just not very effective yet. But anyway. Well, yeah, it'll all work out. Oh dear. Yeah, well, hopefully. We'll see. Anyway, so till the next time and such and so forth and whatnot. Yes, I mean, that's it. That's all there is. It's enough. Alright, anyway, till the next time and such. Yeah, that's enough. I'll have to do. Yeah, that's it. Okay, till the next time. Yeah, yeah, it's a black screen. That's probably even better, yeah. So I could get rid of that. Just leave you with the black screen. Huh. Okay. There, now I'm gone. That's it. I guess I can make that go away too. Yeah, there you go. So now it's just video's over. It's all gone. Nothing there. Nothing to see here. So, till the next time and such.